Hi there, this is Liam from Musical Web Production. This is the first video on our new channel. It's a complete beginner guide for FL Studio 20 where we will show you the basic features of FL Studio, and yeah, let's just dive right into it. When you first open up FL Studio, it will look like this. In the top left corner we have the menu panel with your file menus and the option menus. When you click on the file menu, you can open up a new project, open a recent project you worked with, save your current project, import a MIDI file, or export your current project with into a WAV file or an MP3 file. When you click on the options menu, you have your general settings, your audio settings, and your MIDI settings. All these settings are to make your project like the way you need it. With the MIDI settings, you can connect your MIDI controller with your DAW, the audio settings for setting up your sound card the way you need it, with the buffer length and the sample rate. I'll make a detailed tutorial about it in the future. So if you head further to the right, we have our master volume and our master pitch. I would recommend to leave them where they are. Right next to this, we have our transport controls with the pattern mode and the song mode. I'll explain in a minute what they're useful for. Then we have the play and pause button, the stop button, our record button, and right next to the record button we have the tempo, where you can adjust the tempo to the way you need it by left clicking, dragging up makes it faster, dragging down makes it slower, or you can even right click on it and choose a preset tempo. I will set it to 120 for now. Right next to the tempo, we have these buttons here. They are for recording and editing. And if you look to the left corner, we have a guide that always says when you hover over something with the mouse, what it means. Like this one is a metronome. This one is wait for input to start playing. This one is countdown before recording, which is really useful if you want to play a melody and want to start on the first hit. Right next to this, we have the pattern selector. FL Studio works that you create patterns and arrange them into the playlist to create your song. And that will I'll show you in a minute. So we have 5 main sections over here: a mixer, channel rack, piano roll, and the playlist. And here over here, the browser. The browser is where you can find everything stored in your FL Studio. It's also over here. If I click on here, it's going to disappear on the left side. And if I click again on it, it's going to appear again. Now I'm going to show you how to get sounds, also called samples, into the channel rack. This one is the channel rack. And create our first pattern, which we're going to arrange in the playlist. This one's the playlist later. First thing is to go to the browser and search for the packs icon. Click on it and it's gonna show you all the stuff inside, like drums, instruments, loops, rises, some effects, and vocals. If you want to, for example, use a drum, something from the drum, take the kicks, and then you can just by left clicking get a preview of the kick. There are plenty of different kicks that you can use. Say you want to use this minimal kick, then you drag it, left click, drag it into the channel rack, then you see the green line and just let go, and now it is in your first pattern. Now you can start to create. I'll show you a 4 to the floor basic rhythm. And then it should sound like this. You can also make the pattern longer. Once we have our sample in our channel rack and the rhythm is going like the 4 on the floor, like I showed you before, you can left click on the sample name. So it's gonna open up the wrapper where you have several knobs to adjust your kick, like the volume or the panning or the pitch and the time. I'm not gonna go in detail into it because that's a video on its own. I'll make it in the future. So now we can add another element to our beat. And we can now look for example claps, percussions. So let's take a look for claps. Here's some claps in the percussion section. Say we want this clap. Now we can take it here, or if we want to, we can also replace any of them. So just like if there's a green line, you add it, and if there is a green cover around the other name of the sample, then you can replace it like this. So now you have the dance clap 1 instead of the 808 clap. And now we're gonna make a simple 4 to the floor rhythm with the claps, just like this. Like I showed you before, in the wrapper you can adjust the volume and the pitch over here with these two dials. So now we are changing the volume of the clap. And if you want to go back to the standards, you can just right click on it and press reset. There are always like some options in this menu to edit your sounds. So to get the groove even more going, I already added an open hi-hat, also from the samples over here, from the library, so the browser. And to make a standard EDM beat, we're gonna put these open hi-hats always on the offbeat, like this. And then it should sound like this. Pretty basic. So we can also adjust the volume a little bit so it's not that loud. Right. So this is our first pattern. With this pattern, we could go now to the playlist by clicking on these buttons in the top. It's in the top left. So now you're in the playlist. Over here you can see all the patterns that you created. So far we got only one. If you got other ones, it would be pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3, and so on. Now we click on the pattern and you see it selected, and then you can just like put it in here by left clicking, or you can even drag it over here and then you have it in here. So if I play it now, you only hear the pattern. That's now where this is important, because when we have two patterns now, I will create other pattern pretty fast. So with some just some hi-hats, add it here and make it every 2 steps. So now we only hear the pattern that is selected in this area. So our second pattern. If I switch it now to pattern 1, we hear the first pattern without the second pattern. But we want to hear both of them together, how they play. So I'm going back to the playlist. And now you see our second pattern is already in here. We can, oops, let me just make it big for us. So now we can take the second pattern and put it in here. So both of them are in our playlist. But now still only the first pattern is playing. Second pattern, sorry. first pattern is playing, and now we want to make them play together. That's where this part is important. So now only the pattern mode is on, so only the pattern is playing. If we switch to song mode, you can see this green dot appears up here. And if we play now, start playing, both of the patterns are playing because we put them together in the playlist and switch to the song mode. If I turn back to the pattern mode, only the first pattern is playing. You can also tell when this white line appears that only one pattern is playing. If I switch to the song mode, both patterns are playing. So to keep everything nice and tight and organized, I would recommend you to give your patterns colors and rename them. So if the project gets bigger, you can easily find where your different patterns are. Like our first pattern contains drums. So I'm gonna just go up here to pattern 1, right click on it, and then you can see the menu. And we're looking for rename and color. Click on it and this appears, and then I'm just gonna call it drums. Give it a color like pink and accept. So if we now go to the playlist again, you can see our drums pattern is in purple or pink. So right, duplicate it. There are always like shortkeys to do all the stuff really quick, but now I'm gonna try to make it as easy as possible for you guys. So this is our drum pattern in purple, so I'm gonna quickly choose the second pattern by clicking on this arrow. It shows all the patterns you created, like here, over here. So I'm gonna select this one, also rename and color it, make it hi-hats, and also give it a color in lighter pink. So now we have these ones selected, and you can also rename and color these tracks also by right clicking it and rename a color like you did it before over here. So also make it drums purple and hi-hats lighter purple. So here we go. So that helps a lot to keep everything organized and tidy. Now that we have a little groove going, it's going like this, we could add some instruments like a piano or a guitar or something like this. There you have the opportunity to take it from here, also from the browser, in the instruments section, and then you can see like guitar, keyboard, orchestral, and stuff like this. I don't use them. I most likely use this plus icon. Click on it, and then here are your several VSTs to use. I like to use, I will use a standard plugin for this sake of this tutorial. And I will use Flex and then go to the piano section and just use any piano that you would like. So Studio Grand. So to create chords and melodies and stuff, you need to go to the piano roll. That's the third part of these 5 really important parts to create music in FL Studio. you can come to the piano roll to when you right click on the instrument you selected, and you can see right at the top piano roll. There's a little tick which is not on yet, but now I'll click on it and it's open up the piano roll where you can now build chords or melodies by putting these notes in. So I recommend to always make a new pattern so everything is tidy and organized, like I said before. We call it piano number 1. Give it a color, like, I don't know, yellow. So maybe a little bit lighter. So now we got our piano pattern. So if we now switch to the pattern mode again, you can hear nothing because we haven't put any notes into our pattern so far. So back to the piano roll. And now I'm gonna make a simple chord progression for us. So pretty easy, nothing special, just for sake of the tutorial. So now you can see we already added our third pattern to create a song. Just like this. It's over here and you can see it over here. If you want to add it, again, select it, put it into the playlist, and then you can see they can play together now. I'm gonna quickly rename and give it a color as well. So now we want to let them play together. I'm just gonna copy and paste it over here. So pretty basic. So now that we have a little groove going, we can put our elements that we just added on our channel rack and to the playlist to the mixer to put some reverbs on it, delays, or put an equalizer on it. To put any element that we added to our song, put it in the mixer, you have to look at the left-hand side where these numbers are. So let me just quickly open up the mixer to show you guys. So the mixer will probably open up like this. You can readjust it by make it small, and then with this icon you can just like drag it how you want it, and I put it over here so we can see the channel rack as well and the mixer. So go on here. This one is now where the 808 kick is laying on. So the 1 on the 1, the 2 on the 2, 3 on the 3, and so on. So we can see our clap and our open hi-hat are already assigned to the mixer. So we're going to see on the 2 and the 3 that there's audio signal coming out. So now we want to put our kick also on the mixer to put some effects on it, like distortion or equalization. So we go over here, and then you can just left click and drag it on if you want it on the 6. Say we want it on the 5 or 6. I put it on the 5. Now you can see we added the kick to the mixer. Nice. Also for the cymbals, over here, I'll put it on the 6. and also for our piano. So now every element we use are on the mixer, and now we could start making some effects, adding some effects on our instruments. Like for example, I'm gonna put an equalizer on the piano we have. Dip, dip, dip. Just let me again rename it and give it a color, piano. Right click on the mixer channel and select piano and a color, so you don't get lost in the mixer. That can be really confusing when you have a lot of things going on there and sidechaining and whatever. You want to have it really tidy and a lot of colors that you can easily find your stuff again. That can be a lot of really confusing. I recommend you do it everywhere you can add colors and stuff like this. Always put colors on it. So now this is our effect slot, our effect slots, and we call it effect chain. So we go on the first slot and open up this. Should be a little bit less when you guys just start out, but for me, I already bought some effects and stuff like this. So we're gonna put on Fruity Parametric EQ2 on it, and now we added an equalizer on our piano. So you can see now it's here. If I switch the mixer track, there's nothing else on it anymore. So we go back to the piano and start equalizing the piano. And so on. You can put as many effects as you want, and any effects that you like a reverb also. You can figure out, guys, how you like it and all this stuff. For the sake of this tutorial, I won't go any further into this mixing part because that's a video on its own, and yeah. So in the mixer, you also got some faders and also some dials for panning, for stereo separation, for the volume. I'm gonna make a detailed video about the mixer as well. If I press play now, you can adjust the volume with this knob, or even the panning with this knob. Goes from right to left. So, and any dial in FL Studio, you can just right click on it, and then this menu pops up again on any dial, and you can just reset it to the value it was before. And that is really handy, just in case you fucked up while mixing or something like this. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the first video. So I hope you guys could follow along and could learn something new. If you like, subscribe to the channel and leave a like and leave a comment. What you think I missed out, and yeah, what you would like to have in the next tutorial video. Bye for now.